Those were the terrifying moments where unexpected explosions turned routine firefighting calls into life-or-death situations. First up, we have a scary incident where 6 firefighters were still inside a house when it suddenly exploded. On January 14, 2023, a police patrol was cruising down the road when the officers caught sight of white smoke near Ramapo Road in New Jersey. At first, they thought it was fog, but on further investigation, they found it was coming from the windows of a house in Pompton Lakes. They called the fire department before rescuing the only person living in that single-story home, who told officials he had no idea how the fire started.
Door open. You were able to go inside, or what?
No, I came around the back side, and I was like, with the flashlight, I see the smoke. I put the flashlight, just standing there. I'm like, sir, what the f***'s going on here? And he's like, the CO alarm's going off.
CO alarm?
Yeah.
I just came through here.
Like, I told the Greco when I came through, my headlights were shooting this way, and it was all smoke, and I was like, oh. So I was coming out, I was like, is that fucking down there?
When the firefighters arrived at the scene, the house was filled with smoke, and a fire was burning in the basement. A team of 3 firefighters entered the home and headed to the basement. A second team of 2 firefighters, along with the assistant chief, followed behind, bringing the total number of firefighters inside the burning house to 6. Just seconds after the fire crew stepped inside, the entire building blew up. The body cam footage from a cop outside caught that crazy moment when the explosion went off. In a flash, the house burst into flames and then actually got lifted off its foundation. The 3 officers were chatting moments before the explosion suddenly happened, causing them to run from the blast. The explosion was so powerful that it actually blew the roof right up. When they turned back to look at the house, flames were everywhere, engulfing the blown-out home. 2 firefighters standing by the door got tossed into the driveway by the blast. Meanwhile, the other 4 were in the basement, where they thought the fire might be spreading. They were busy unrolling a fire hose when everything went up in flames. The remaining firefighters and police officers jumped into action after the blast. They quickly fanned out around the house, searching for any possible entryway.
Your best approach is from the back.
Watch these wires.
The trapped firefighters worked together to help each other climb out. They shouted for a medic as they made their way to safety.
First aid squad, I have an EMT. I need a driver or a second
They're in the back.
for Watertown Fire, 945 Ramapo Ave. Any available members, please contact headquarters. Second request. Thank you. Get us to the victory. Get back to your on the way, I got a second one touched out.
You got anybody else dead?
Fortunately, there were no casualties from the explosion. While the crew sustained injuries and burns, their firefighting gear helped to prevent more severe harm. 4 firefighters were treated for minor injuries at the scene, and 2 others were taken to a nearby hospital for severe burns. They were treated and later released. Following this incident, fire crews from several departments were able to bring the fire under control. Up next, we have a firefighter who suffered severe burns from a propane tank explosion. On June 13, 2017, firefighters in Limestone, Maine, responded to a serious fire on Main Street. There was an ongoing blaze at a nearby property, close to some propane tanks in a wooded spot. When they got there, the crew wasted no time. They jumped into action, grabbing their fire hose, ready to tackle the fire. Firefighter Scott Patton was in position, manning the hose and working to control the fire. But then, the unthinkable happened. One of the propane tanks exploded, sending a fireball straight toward him. The blast was so powerful, it knocked Limestone Police Chief Stacy Mahan and another firefighter off their feet as they stood by a nearby fire truck. Despite the chaos, Chief Mahan quickly got up to rescue the fire crew. He rushed toward the scene to help Patton, but miraculously, Patton had managed to walk away from the inferno on his own.
Give her. Scott! Get him, get him, get him! Come on, Scott, go, 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 go! Get your jacket off. Get your jacket off.
The explosion left Patton with serious first and second-degree burns, and he was immediately taken to Cary Medical Center in Caribou for treatment. A good chunk of his firefighting gear was also singed in the blast, bearing the marks of the fiery chaos he had faced. This terrifying incident serves as a reminder of the unpredictable dangers firefighters face every day. Their quick thinking and bravery in such an intense situation undoubtedly saves lives. Our next video takes us to Arlington Heights, Illinois, where first responders were caught off guard by a garbage truck explosion. On December 9, 2024, a dramatic scene unfolded in Arlington Heights, a quiet suburb located about 25 miles northwest of downtown Chicago. Around 4 p.m., reports came in about a garbage truck on fire. When the police officers and firefighters arrived on scene, they quickly launched a fire attack trying to control the situation. White smoke was seen coming out of the garbage truck as one of the firefighters connected a hose to a fire hydrant just a few feet away. But before they could do much, the truck suddenly exploded. It turns out the garbage truck was fueled by compressed natural gas, and investigators believe one of the tanks exploded. The blast created a fireball that shot high into the sky, followed by a thick cloud of gray smoke. This doorbell footage caught the exact moment when the truck erupted. A dashcam video from inside a police car showed debris raining down onto the street from the explosion. 2 police officers and a firefighter were injured by the flying shrapnel and the powerful concussion that followed the blast. The blast sent pieces of the garbage truck flying several blocks away, which gives you an idea of just how intense the explosion was. It sent a shockwave through the whole neighborhood. Nearby homes took a serious hit. A lot of them had their roofs and siding ripped off, and plenty of windows got smashed. Even a fire engine ended up with a broken windshield, and a police car's airbags went off from the blast. This wasn't just a truck fire, it was a disaster zone. Despite the chaos, the Arlington Heights Fire Department acted quickly, aggressively containing the fire to prevent further damage. First responders on the scene teamed up to handle things as safely as they could, and they managed to get the fire under control. Thankfully, the 2 police officers and firefighter injured in the blast were quickly taken to a nearby hospital, where they were treated for their non-life-threatening injuries. All 3 of them were treated and released shortly after. The police officers decided to recover at home, while the firefighter returned to his duty. However, there's no doubt that the experience must have left them shaken, adding a tough chapter to their courageous stories. This team of firefighters showed unmatched bravery when a recycling plant went up in flames from a magnesium-fueled fire. On the night of June 14, 2016, chaos unfolded at a metal recycling plant on Fruitland Avenue in Maywood, California. The Los Angeles County Fire Department responded to reports of a massive fire engulfing a commercial building and a storage yard. The flames roared as they consumed the metals and quickly began spreading to another commercial building and storage yard nearby. The firefighters had their work cut out for them, and they began to spray water to cool down the flames. But when water hit the burning magnesium, it caused an intense explosion that lit up the night sky. The flames tore through 2 commercial buildings as the magnesium-fueled blast rocked the area. The blast was so strong that it knocked out power for nearby homes, leaving thousands in the dark as things got worse. Realizing the danger, the fire crews changed their tactics. Instead of water, they switched to using foam to smother the flames and decided to let the magnesium burn on its own to prevent more violent explosions. This shift in strategy was important in gaining control of fire and reducing risk to nearby areas. Approximately 200 residents were evacuated from their homes as a precaution, with the Maywood YMCA serving as an emergency shelter. Fortunately, there were no injuries, and the fire was fully extinguished by the crew. Next up, a warehouse fire took a devastating turn, ending in a massive explosion that left over a dozen firefighters injured. On May 16, 2020, the Los Angeles City Fire Department received a call reporting smoke coming from a warehouse on Boyd Street in the Little Tokyo area of Los Angeles. The first team of firefighters arrived to find the 1-story building ablaze, with thick smoke spiraling from the tops of 2 closed rolling steel doors. At first, it seemed like a regular warehouse fire. The crew started setting up, laying hoses, and moving in to attack the flames. But then, things took a terrifying turn. They had no clue the place was illegally loaded with fireworks and flammable stuff. Just as they were starting to bring the fire under control, a huge volume of smoke lit up, and a massive fireball erupted out of the building, blowtorching everything in its way.
Engine 9, go with your mayday. Explosion!
The explosion was devastating. A giant fireball had ripped out of the warehouse, shattering its windows and sending debris flying in all directions. Mayday calls echoed through the air, as firefighters were also caught in the blast. Some were up on the roof, while others were working on the aerial ladder, desperately scrambling to get out as their gear started melting from the intense heat. The firefighters had sensed something was off while they were inside the building, but could not make it out in time to dodge the blast. The fireball just kept growing, reaching at least 30 feet tall and wide. It didn't just wipe out the warehouse, it messed up the whole area. The fire truck parked outside the building got scorched, and the aerial ladder ended up getting damaged. Nearby businesses took a hit too. The damage was so bad that the authorities had to shut down the entire area for days. Firefighters had to rush right through the wall of flames to get out safely. Eyewitnesses said that the ones on the ladder came down with their coats on fire. 11 firefighters were quickly taken to a nearby hospital, where 2 of them ended up on ventilators because of smoke inhalation, and 4 others were moved to the intensive care unit for their burns.
I have 2 down firefighters in front of truck 9. On the front alpha side of the building, we need help. Copy. It's 6 firefighters dead on the company's coming. At Lightport 20 medical group, we got 6 down firefighters. Truck 20, you're my medical group. You have engine 10, truck 20. You have rescue 9, rescue 209. We have 6 down firefighters on the alpha side. Acknowledge, truck 20. Engine 9, 2 down firefighters. Group rescue 9, I need you to go and assist engine up with the 2 down firefighters. Fire team from engine 9. We're sorting that out now. We have 8 firefighters injured on the sidewalk. Cross from truck 9, we're working on a parked car. I copy that. Give me the parked car. I copy 8 firefighters. We have a medical group set up coming to help.
More than 200 firefighters responded to the incident and moved to a defensive posture for the fire attack. After about 2 hours of hard work, they finally managed to knock the flames down. It took more than a month for the firefighters in the hospital to bounce back, and a few of them even got back to work pretty quickly.